So yeah, hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Why Didn't You Tell Me? So today we're going to talk about something that's really interesting, and I think that we're all kind of, going through at the moment. It's all very relevant, and it's the topic around imposter syndrome. And I think it's, like I said, it's something that we were saying kind of off air. We're all kind of going through it, we're all progressing, we're all kind of navigating through our careers. I wonder, Thierry, if you could kind of share your experiences of that, because obviously you've just recently taken a massive leap.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Journey Further first for giving us a space. As you can see, we've got a new joint and a new setup. But yeah, so like imposter syndrome for me, I've had a really interesting experience with it because just like anybody else, I feel sometimes I'm in rooms where I feel like I don't deserve to be here. I'm the stupidest person here, and I feel like, as we say, like I'm an imposter. I'm hiding in a costume, pretend, and any minute now, someone's gonna go, "There's the idiot! Get him out! Yeah, he's a fraud! Get him out!" But what I've quickly come to learn when I've moved, when I've moved agencies and moved jobs, is I've actually started using imposter syndrome as a litmus test. So litmus test being, that was such an idiotic thing to say. It's a thing that you use in chemistry to check the change of an environment, right? Yeah. So I use that.
What degree did you do?
I did biological sciences, focusing on immunology and genetics.
We got a similar background, haven't we?
So it was like, litmus, man, get it. But I use it as a test.
Them little strips.
Yeah, that's it. And it changed to see the change of the liquid, and that's why I say the change in my environment.
I'm still here.
Yeah, here we go. Everyone tuned in, locked and loaded. And I use that as a way of gauging, actually, whether I'm in the right place or not now. Because my theory with imposter syndrome is actually it's a curse of the intelligent, right? The reason I say that is because ignorant and stupid people will never have Donald Trump will never have imposter syndrome, because for him, he is not open to the opinions or the perceptions of other people. And so therefore, the world he knows is here. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit about what other people think or whatever else that might be. Now, intelligent people who care about what other people think, how the world perceives them.
Self-aware people.
Yeah, self-aware people who we were talking about in the previous episode about, who have the ability to check their privilege and things like that. Those people will always get imposter syndrome because they are aware of what they do not know. Yeah. It's the fear of what you do not know.
Don't know.
Because you're an intelligent person who has an open heart and is willing to take things in, right? And so therefore, take imposter syndrome as you'll never be able to solve it. It's never something that you'll be able to stop. In the same reason that like anxiety and things aren't. It's something that you used to understand, okay, I need to step back or I need to step forward, right? So with imposter syndrome, you lean into it. If you are getting a sense of imposter syndrome around a subject, that is where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Go there more. Yeah. Because ultimately, in a place where you're sat in comfortability, there is no growth in that place, right? If you're so used to your environment, as we say, like we're having a little bit of an analogy, I don't know whether it's true, even though I've just said what my degree is, but apparently, if you put sharks, if there's a certain, okay, I'm just gonna go wide. Some fish, if you have them in a container that is, 50 centimeters long, they fill the 50 centimeter container. If you put them in a container that's 4 meters long, they will grow to fill that. Yeah? So imposter syndrome is the same thing as well. Don't let comfortability shorten your growth because you feel imposter syndrome. Wow. If anything, actually lean into it and go, oh my God, I feel imposter syndrome. I'm in the perfect place. Yeah. And I genuinely feel imposter syndrome probably every single day at Journey Further. And it's not a negative thing. It tells me that I made the best move of my career.
Wow. I can completely relate. And I think I was saying, like, in my role as well, see, managing people, leading people now. I'm growing my team. I first came in with a team of 2. I've just gone into 4, and it's a new area. My background was obviously chemistry and pharmaceuticals. I was working in pharma. Now I've gone to like the surgical side of the business, and I'm starting to learn about new things. And to be honest, I'll be honest, I was quite naive when I first took the job and the role, because I was like, instruments and surgical instruments. How it's knives and forks, man. How complex is that? Do you know what I mean?
It's like, start out, go in.
How complex is that? Right?
Is that a spork?
Put in a dishwasher, clean it, and that's it. It's all good, right? But it's so complex. It's such there's so many aspects to it, right? That it's just like there's repairing it, there's like sterilizing it, there is managing it, looking after. It's so complex, right? And I just didn't realise and appreciate how it was. And then when I actually started the role, that imposter syndrome just came in because I was like, all of a sudden, I don't know anything about the product. Because what happens is when you get to a certain level and a certain level of expertise, you're leaning on your expertise and knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to just like navigate through work and stuff because you are the product, you're the topic, the topic expert in that specific area. So, you're the go-to person, or T will know this, T will know that. But actually, when you're in an environment where you have to kind of check processes again, learn new ways of doing things, it is uncomfortable, do you know what I mean? And there was, I remember speaking to my manager and being like, this is really uncomfortable. Am I doing the right thing and stuff? And it was like, and same thing that you said, it was like, look, the fact that you're getting that, it means you're learning, you're growing, do you know what I mean? The fact that you're seeing that is definitely a positive thing, but it's still kind of uncomfortable. And what I've learned as well, sometimes it's like highs and lows, do you know what I mean? Like, you go through a week and you think, Jesus Christ, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Don't know anything, can't contribute, say the wrong things. And it's brutal sometimes, people completely like disagree with it. Would never do that.
Yeah.
You're serious.
Yeah.
And you've gone in as a senior figure, as someone with a lot of status. Do you know how that reduces your ego? Does your chin?
Humbling.
It's like
very humbling.
And I think one of the thing about imposter syndrome is that it sometimes when you're living in imposter syndrome, is that you don't know that growth is uncomfortable, and that when you grow into your talent, when you grow into your role, is that you become your true self because you've always had the ability to.
Yeah.
So for me, the first time I properly, I think, felt imposter syndrome was secondary school, year 7. No, it's probably not even year 7, year 9.
I was going to say that's pretty specific.
It was year 9.
March 12th.
So, March 12th. I don't remember the date or anything, but I remember the feeling and I remember what I did.
It's the summer of 89.
So I remember we were downstairs, like in the basement area. We just had an exam, and it was just lunchtime. So somehow there was like a little common area. So there was like people dancing. So I knew I could dance, but I didn't know that I could dance in public. And I was just like, no, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. And with imposter syndrome is that there's always an opportunity to leap.
Yeah.
And it's how you take that leap. Is that you can either be prepared, or you can just be like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. And I think that day, I was not prepared. I was just pretty...
That's such a good way of putting it.
I was ready
That's
for...
quite insightful, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's almost like a spidey senses for opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? It almost... You get it in your belly and you think, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do this. But actually, oh my God, it's opportunity.
Yeah.
We actually step back and think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when it comes, it comes. So I remember I don't remember what song it was playing, but I was just like, you know what? Yeah, there was the gap. Yeah. I remember there was a gap. Every time when there's the circle, when people are dancing, there's a gap where it's like the next dancer needs to come up. So I was just like, today's my day.
But do you know what? You've just made me think about something, actually. Do you think then imposter syndrome is something that evolves the more older or self-aware you get? Because when I was younger, what you just described there, of just leaping in first, that came more naturally to me.
Yeah,
do you know
I
what
did
mean?
that all the time.
Like, that was easy. Like, and actually, I think about, going to uni, being like a union rep or student rep and whatnot. That was I never gave it a second thought. There was never a thought, okay, am I gonna do this all right? It was just natural. Yeah. But actually, there's something, I don't know.
It's your view of the world. It's what you know. So, like what I said earlier, being like imposter syndrome is a fear of what you do not know. Is that when you're a child, the unknowns are actually that small because you're like, well, what could the world be? Either tastes good or it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like within food and within scraping your knee and how fast you can go on your bike, right? And so then as your knowledge of the world expands and you start to be that human who absorbs information and starts getting bigger, then you go, the risk factors are far larger now. Not only now can I bruise my ego, I could lose my job, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And so then...
Your livelihood.
So then the risk starts becoming greater, whereas people who have a higher propensity for risk, it isn't that they go, I'm going to evaluate everything that is happening here. For them, they kind of look at whether the reward is actually worth it. So regardless of said risk, am I going to enjoy, if I go into that circle and I dance my heart, what am I going to enjoy? Right. I'm going to have a good time. My endorphins are going to be going. I'm going to look great in front of my peers. Yeah. Amazing. I don't care whether I slip over, break my neck, hurt my back, do that. Not bothered.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a different story. Same ethos of it being dance, but then imposter syndrome not stopping me from doing it. So came up on my Snapchat 4 years ago. Man was in Cancun.
Throwback. Oh,
spring break.
Snapchat still exists.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Snapchat when it goes back. So, I almost had again that existential identity crisis of who I am as a person. So, Felix being Felix, I thought the best way to remedy this is go on spring break. So I went to Miami and then Cancun.
Energy.
So when I was in Cancun, went to a club, music's playing, all wild, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna have a dance off. Come to the stage." Me, I'm at the VIP, like back there. Yeah. I'm at the VIP. Yeah. Something inside me said, "Do it again."
Energy.
Do it again. Funny thing, I fell and slipped.
No, did you?
Bare people. But as you're saying, it's the difference between your ego stopping you or your ego saying, "Take this opportunity." Yeah. And even though I slipped, I came right back up and I was just like,
let's go.
I don't think you understand where I've come from to be able to have this confidence to slip, drop, come back up. But then I was looking at it like, yo, I'm a Malawian boy in Cancun.
It's almost giving yourself permission, isn't it? It's like giving yourself permission that you belong where you are. Do you know what I mean? You are where you are because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah, you didn't get that by mistake.
Do you know what? I'm a data person. I'm an evidence person. Like everything that I do, everything that I say is very much on, do I see evidence of it?
Yeah.
Which is actually probably sometimes one of my weakest strengths, weakest things, you know what I mean, in terms of actually, unless I see the data and do you know what I mean? Like, unless I see the evidence of something, to me, that imposter syndrome or my brain's like, oh, don't do it because I've not seen. But that's not a way to do things, right? Because actually there's a lot of unknown. And going back to that imposter syndrome, right, is with this new role, unless I saw evidence of me succeeding and excelling within this new role, I was like, oh, actually, maybe I don't belong here. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm not doing well. And actually, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing. That's just a weaker strength because actually you're keeping yourself humble each time you put yourself in a situation because you're thinking, okay, I'm humble enough, like you say, I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm not the expert here. I don't know everything here. But actually, sometimes what you need to have is that confidence to say, I've done this in the past. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna be able to excel in here. But actually, like you said, it's a curse in a way because actually it shows that you are humble enough and self-aware enough to actually say, to be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It really, really, really is, and I think that. One of the things that I did to like combat things like imposter syndrome and the way I check it in terms of advice, it's very interesting as well because we've all talked about it from a perspective of performance. Yeah. We've all talked about it from a perspective of dance and when I was dancing, etc. like that, and
like
being on
audience,
stage, which is the ultimate, in my opinion, the pinnacle of being, feeling like you are being judged for, or like having all eyes on you and feeling like an imposter, etc. That performance stage,
microscope.
That's it. And I implore anyone and everyone to do it. Like at university, I joined every dance society I possibly could, and even when I used to have, imagine I had stage fright, right? So I even then signed up to open mic nights, and I'd go on my own, and it would just be literally like 4 people on just a mic, and then I just get up and speak and just try and do some weird stand-up, which was not funny at all. But that wasn't the point, right? The point was
you get booed off the stage.
Bet what? I used to get absolutely heckled. Yeah. But that's the point. It built a thick skin for me to understand then that when I've got a certain imposter syndrome, so like I'm talking at Brighton SEO in a couple of weeks, and it's a big stage, lots of people, all my peers and anyone who's anyone is there in my industry, right? Yeah. And so then at that point, people are asking me, are you nervous? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not. And the reason I'm not nervous is because I've had 200 people boo me off a stage, right? Or not boo me, sorry. 200 people laugh at me because I fell on the stage. Yeah. 200 people laughed at me as a young man. Yeah. At this point, there isn't anything any of you can do that I've not then come to. So that's what comes with your evidence-based thing then. When you go, have I seen this thing being done before? Well, it doesn't actually matter. Is it worse than what have I experienced before? no. So therefore, it's all positive. If that's the case.
And do you know what it does for me as well? Sometimes it's my fuel, it's my energy.
Yeah.
You know, I am a competitive person. Do you know what I mean? So whenever I feel like I don't belong in there, I go into like overdrive mode where I think I am going to prove that I belong here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the fuel and energy. It's actually quite toxic, to be honest. Do you know
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. Like you throw yourself into
it's
it.
It's a really toxic trait because I get immersed and literally it probably drives Steph mad, but everything I'm doing then is just to get myself, elevating myself as quick, as fast as possible because I've seen a challenge, I don't belong and I want to prove myself.
Yeah.
But it is kind of my fuel and my, if I think of my, my life and my achievements, whatever it is, whenever someone's kind of questioned that or you don't belong here or you can't do this, it's like kind of like challenge accepted.
It really, really is a challenge. But then again, like this is why I say it's a curse of the intelligent and why I chose the word intelligent, because I believe that intelligent people, they're not the smartest people. They're the people who are the most open to having their opinions and intelligence changed.
Yeah.
Right? So then you go into because because the whole point of imposter syndrome is that you feel like you shouldn't be there, right? So then you jump into a certain situation. And then life might check you and go, actually, no, you were wrong on this thing.
Yeah.
Now, the reason it becomes a curse of intelligence, then it splits and divides those opinions. And it goes, in my opinion, if you're an idiot, you then go, you double down on those mistakes and you go, no, I am right. So then that person actually doesn't even feel imposter syndrome. They're actually just being arrogant, right? Yeah. But then imposter syndrome then where why it's the curse of the intelligent is because then intelligent people go, yeah, actually, your opinion is right. Yeah. I didn't consider that. All right, cool. I'll add it to my armory. Boom. You've got another brick on your wall added. Yeah. Right? And it's not been added because you went and read a book. You added because somebody checked you for something, right? But for some reason, we then refer back to that experience and go, oh, but last time I got checked, so I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, but you got checked and you learn.
Yeah, exactly. We've got this thing at work. My manager will be laughing if he listens to this, where we've got the best idea wins. It's not who it comes from, but it's the best idea wins. Do you know what I mean? And it's brutal like that. It really is. Like, if it's not a good idea, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you have to get comfortable with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's what you're saying. Really, it's like, okay, it's not. You've actually learning from it. You picked up different. It's just opening yourself, and it's not easy. Sometimes I've learned that actually it's literally like a roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? You have weeks where you're more receptive. Okay, I'm learning, and then weeks where your ego is just not having it. You're just like, how dare they? How dare they disagree with me? Like, do you know what I mean?
And also, it's all right to not know. Like the amount of times, like the reason I even came to this role here as well was because James, my now manager. He schools me every single day. Every day, I feel like an absolute student, an absolute idiot around him, right? But the way he kind of goes around, he'll ask me to do something that I think he knows I've never done before or I've not done before, and in the context of the new job. Yeah. So then, like, let's go. Okay, cool. Can you go and put a roadmap together? I've put thousands of roadmaps together, but I don't know how the company does it. Yeah. But then he could easily go, Thierry, here is a template, and here is what you do here. But he's like. That's not why I hired you, though, because everyone here can do it, right? I want to see if there's something different that you can then do. But then my imposter syndrome kicks in, and I'm like, and I'm messaging other people like, yo, Andy, big man, have you got like a template? Like, honestly, anything.
You know what you're talking about there? That's really, really interesting. Because I'm probably the same as well. Whereas, like, I've done loads of like presentations, business plans, whatever it is, offerings. I've done, done loads, but you almost like it's it's like crippling, like you don't know what you're doing, but actually you've done it loads of times because you're wanting that validation to say, oh, am I doing it right? And my manager's really good at not giving that.
Yeah, that's it. The best managers are,
like, look, you just need to figure it out.
I think the best managers just kind of go, you're here, your end destination is over there. There is thousands of routes, knock yourself out. But, I know that you are well educated to be able to do that because at the same time, like, by them leaving you and fending for yourself, there is a far greater lesson learned than somebody, like, there are times as well where, I've driven somewhere using sat-nav and then I try to drive there without sat-nav and I'm like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't paying attention, because I was being guided.
Yeah.
You know, I was being guided through that. But have you ever driven somewhere where you've struggled and you've gone, actually, don't go down that turning because I know that's a dead end.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Because all of those errors you
It's
made
so
to
much
get
more
there,
valuable, right?
you know
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You can visibly close your eyes and see yourself drive there now.
Yeah.
But with the sat-nav, blink, you're there. You don't even know how you got there.
Yeah.
And I think one point both of you made is that, you know, imposter syndrome is a journey, and the way both of you have been talking this moment is that imposter syndrome is a maze. And it's surrounded by something which is actually the antidote to it, which is flowers. And if you think about the point which I say flowers is that until you give yourself evidence again of what you've been able to do, you're not able to confront it, to be able to maneuver around the maze, because the maze is just hedges. Those hedges are just flowers. So it's either you can build those hedges around yourself, or you can be navigated by the flowers of yourself. So like one of the, being a big Kanye West fan, not loving what he's been doing.
I was going to say, that's another conversation.
That's a whole different imposter syndrome.
One thing he always says is that if you're a fan of Kanye West, you're a fan of yourself. So I've always taken it to be, all right, you're a fan of Felix. So recently with my job, I'm doing so many different things, which is not part of my job remit. And I went to see one of my old colleagues to get some advice of him. And then he was just like, instead of giving me advice, he gave me my flowers. It was like, you did this, you did that. So I don't know why you're here. Because you've done it before. And again, as you're saying, it's pathways. There's a difference between having a manager who wants you to go through the motions and the difference between having a manager who wants you to do the journey. And I think especially as we talk to people who are going through their career journeys, who are finding their feet to be, you know, innovators or whatever they're trying to do in their life, is that there's always going to be people who guide your journeys. But the most important thing is how you talk to yourself. Because if you don't talk to yourself with the vim that the A party will give you, as you're talking about performances, the one thing which I love about performing is when I hear, go Felix, go Felix.
And they'll always prop you up.
Exactly.
So imagine if you gave yourself that. Imagine, just, I dare you.
I'm not very good at that.
Like, I dare you to back yourself.
I'm not good at that. And I hear what you're saying, but this I could be wrong, but it's something that I feel like the fact that maybe, you know, that humility that you have, that, you know, I think sometimes that's probably the ingredients that's pushed me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm really afraid, and we've spoken about this, afraid of losing sight of, you know, of that hunger, that humility. Do you know what I mean? Like, but probably to an extreme. Do you know what I mean? Probably too much to a point where you're actually not leaning on the successes and the flowers and the things that you've done to guide you to actually say you belong where you are. Do you know what I mean? But keeping that humility, that humbleness about actually, I'm in a new place here. I need to prove myself all the time, but it's dangerous. It's toxic.
But you got it, man. You got it.
You
got it. You got it. But so I guess that ends another episode. And please make sure that you like, rate, subscribe. Please share. And we hope to see you guys on another episode very, very soon.
Thank you for listening, guys.